Hello and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to my channel. I'm Mr. Sleepy. For the next while, I want you to sit back, get cozy, feel safe, and allow my stories to make you super sleepy. My speaking style is designed to help you relax. Please do not listen to this recording while driving, operating machinery, or any tasks that require you to be fully alert. Jack was tired, in a way that sleep couldn't fix. The world felt too loud, too heavy. Each day he woke to the same dull routine, his mind cluttered with regrets and the echoes of old pain he couldn't shake. It was a weight that seemed to grow at every passing year, pulling him deeper into himself, away from the life he once thought he'd live. He had tried everything: distraction, work, even the occasional half-hearted attempt at therapy. Nothing stuck. One evening, feeling particularly restless, Jack decided to take a walk. It was dusk, and the summer heat had softened into a cool breeze. He wandered aimlessly, letting his feet carry him into the woods that bordered the edge of a town. He hadn't been there in years, but the path felt familiar, as if it had been waiting for him all along. After an hour or so, Jack came upon a clearing he didn't remember. In the centre stood an old well, its stones dark and worn by time. He was sure he hadn't seen this before. The air around it was strangely still, and yet something about it drew him to it. Without thinking, Jack approached the well and peered over the edge. There was no water, only darkness stretching downward, as if the well had no end. Without knowing why, Jack felt compelled to climb down. He grabbed a thick fraying rope hanging from a rusted pulley and began his descent. The air grew cooler as he lowered himself deeper, the last light of the surface world disappearing behind him. But Jack didn't feel afraid. Instead, he felt oddly calm, as if he were guided by something beyond himself. Finally his feet touched the ground, and when he looked up, the mouth of the well had vanished. He was no longer underground, but standing in a vast, shadowy landscape. The air shimmered with a strange, dreamlike quality, and the ground beneath him shifted like sand. It wasn't the physical world anymore. He had entered into something entirely different. This place wasn't familiar, but it felt close, like a forgotten memory, or a word on the tip of his tongue. The trees around him were twisted and gnarled, their branches whispering as if they knew him. He realized with a sharp clarity that this place was inside him, his unconscious mind. Everything here was a reflection of him, a landscape shaped by memories, wounds, and fears long buried. He could feel it. As Jack walked, he saw flashes of his past. Shadows formed into figures. His father, always too distant. the face of an ex he hadn't thought about for years, and the image of a child, himself, sitting alone on a swing, watching the other kids play from afar. Those ghosts flickered in and out of view, their voices just whispers in the wind. But their presence left a tightness in Jack's chest. He could feel the old hurt stirring and familiar pang of unspoken pain. He kept walking, unsure of where he was headed, when a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was a man, tall, with sharp features and a crooked smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He wore a dark coat, its edges fraying like the rope Jack had just climbed down. "Jack," the man said in his very low, soothing voice. "It's been a while." Jack frowned, his heart beating faster. "Do I know you?" The man chuckled a sound that sent a shiver down Jack's spine. "You could say that. I know you. I know you quite well. Very well, actually. My name is Wilbert." There was something about Wilbert that felt off, familiar but wrong. He moved with a swagger, his eyes gleaming with an unsettling mix of charm and malice. Jack didn't trust him, but he also couldn't look away. "What do you want?" Jack asked, his voice barely steady. Wilbert smiled widely, as if enjoying the tension. "Want? I don't want anything, Jack. I'm just here to remind you of all the things you've hidden away, of who you really are." Jack felt a knot form in his stomach. "And who's that?" "Oh, you know. The one who's always kept things together. Make sure you never got too close to anyone. The part of you that sees things for what they are, that knows better." Jack shook his head. "I'm not here for that." Wilbert stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "Aren't you? You can dress it up however you like. Healing, meditation, self-love," he mocked, his tone dripping with disdain. "But we both know why you're really here. You are here because you're tired of pretending. Because no matter how hard you try, you will never be free. Free of the things that made you who you are." The words cut deeper than Jack wanted to admit. There was a truth in them, but it wasn't the whole truth. Wilbert thrived on half-stories, this version of himself that Jack had fed for so long, the version that clung to control, to pride, to some idea that nothing could change because it was safer that way. "No," Jack said quietly, though his voice gained strength as he spoke. "That's not why I'm here." Wilbert's smile faltered just for a moment. "I'm here," Jack continued, "because I'm tired of holding on to things that only hurt me. I'm tired of believing I have to be alone, that I have to protect myself from the world. I am here to let go. Wilbert's expression darkened. You think you can just walk away from all of this? He gestured to the swirling landscape around them. You think you can erase me? I don't need to erase you, Jack said, taking a step forward. I just need to stop listening to you. Wilbert snarled, his once calm demeanor slipping. You need me, Jack. Without me, you will fall apart. You'll be weak, vulnerable. Jack shook his head. No, I'll be free. In that moment, Jack understood. Wilbert wasn't some external force holding him back. He was a part of Jack, an old defense mechanism, a voice born out of past hurts and traumas. He had been useful once, but now he was only holding Jack back, keeping him trapped in a loop of fear and doubt. Jack closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He focused inward, feeling the weight of all the things he had carried for so long. The pain, the regret, the fear of not being enough. He let himself feel it all, not pushing it away this time, but accepting it. And as he did, something inside of him began to shift. The tightness in his chest loosened, and the weight in his heart lightened. He thought of all the times he had tried to meditate but found himself distracted, frustrated. He'd been missing the point. He'd been trying to fix himself, to force something to change. But real healing wasn't about fixing. It was about accepting. About letting go of the need to control every outcome. As Jack opened his eyes, the landscape around him began to change. The twisted trees straightened, their leaves brightening with soft green light. The shadows faded, replaced by a gentle, warm glow that seemed to come from within. Wilbert stood still, his form flickering, as if he were struggling to remain solid. This is not over, he hissed. Jack smiled, but it wasn't a smile of victory. It was one of peace. With that, Wilbert dissolved into the mist, his voice fading into the soft hum of the world around them. Jack felt a sense of calm settle over him, deeper than any he had ever known. He turned and he walked towards the well, feeling lighter with every step. When he reached the rope, he paused and glanced back one last time at the landscape of his unconscious mind. It was no longer a place of fear and pain, but a place of possibility, a place he could return to, not to escape, but to heal. As Jack climbed out of the well and into the fading light of the evening, he breathed in the fresh air and smiled. For the first time in a long time, he felt whole. He knew the journey wasn't over, but now he had the tools to move forward. Self-love, acceptance, meditation. The real magic was within him all along.